all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble leader, Jordan Martin. With me for the very first time is our amazing animator. Say hi, amazing animator.
Hi, amazing animator.
Justin, thank you so much. This is so exciting. You've done some incredible work with Dimension 20 that I'm really excited to talk about. But before we get to it, you've lived in New York, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles. If you were to battle royale signature dishes from each city, who's coming out on top? I'm assuming that's like pizza, cheesesteak, and then Dodger dog? Question mark?
Oh boy, way off.
No, is that? I lived in LA for like a year, and I was like, I don't know what the signature dish of LA is.
I think it's got to be tacos.
Okay,
Like tacos of all kinds. I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And then Philadelphia. So I'm a vegetarian, but even more important than that, soft pretzels are like the most important food in the world to me. So, that's the Philly one.
Yeah, fair. But like, who's coming out on top? Who's like, if you're like, I guess then pizza, tacos, soft pretzel. It feels like soft pretzel based on the question I'm about to ask you next.
Yes, it is absolutely soft pretzels.
Great. Speaking of soft pretzels, how do you feel about pretzels in movies? Is that an accurate transition to what's currently happening in your life?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, I think that like pretzels and Philadelphia are both like, we haven't heard from them enough in film. And I think that they're two of the new stars, I think, of cinema. So I have loved soft pretzels my entire life. They're like so tied up in, where I come from, and just sort of like, it's so weird to say it, but like how I think about the world, where like we have pretzels that are different in Philly and people out here don't really know what that's like. And I just want to bring them into my career now that I've done all this stuff. I'm like, all right, it's time to bring pretzels in.
And how are you bringing pretzels into your career?
Well, actually, wait, I have a prop.
Okay.
I don't know how many people bring props into these things, but here.
Ooh, that's really cool.
So this is a pretzel from a guy named Shappy. Adam Shapiro has a pretzel company out here. And I 3D scan these pretzels. And I'm starting this new series called Great Pretzels in Cinema History, where I basically animate them into, famous scenes like Rocky running up the steps, the art museum in Philly. And I think we're going to do an ET one next. But the whole plan here is to basically sort of insert pretzels as this really important character in cinema history, and do these animations and use, great voiceover artists from Philadelphia or great comics. Like Rekha Shankar just did one for us. I have a lot of ones that I can't announce yet, but that'll be coming up soon. And the plan with this is we're working towards a Philadelphia cinematic universe. There's going to be a trilogy, three Philadelphia films coming out in the next decade. And so the first one is going to be about a guy who makes his own soft pretzels and sells them on the street.
I love that so much. Yeah, as you were saying that, I was like my brain was like, all right, famous Philadelphia movies, because like Rocky, obviously. And then, of course, like the one that jumped to mind was Philadelphia. And I was like, I don't know if that's fun to insert a pretzel into that movie.
Yeah, we're going to stay away from the serious ones, I think.
Yeah. That's probably wise. It's very funny, like doing prep for this interview, like seeing that pop up, the like great pretzels in history, and being like, well, I have to ask him about this, but like how? Like how? Like, but it turns out very, very smooth transition into great pretzels in history.
Oh yeah, it's all like a very obvious narrative there,
Yeah. And one of the things that I love most about this project of yours is you describing it while there is an Emmy visible in the background.
Yeah.
Because you are an Emmy award, a three-time Emmy Award winner, if I understand correctly,
Yes,
for not pretzels, as far as I know. I don't actually know what you've won your Emmys for.
the fourth one will be pretzels for
The
sure.
fourth one will be pretzels. What were the first three?
So I used to work at the MLB Network, so we got two of those for MLB Tonight, and then the third one, you know, the one I'm probably most proud of was I used to work on a show called Garbage Time with Katie Nolan, and we won. We were this like tiny little team making a national television show, just working crazy hours, and everybody was like so important. It was such like a close knit team. So we won an Emmy for that. I think our second season, and it was just a really special moment.
That's amazing. I love that. When you have like calls with Dropout, do you just like point behind you at the Emmy and you're like, guys, it's not that hard?
Wow, yeah, that's exactly what I say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. All right. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you was that you are responsible for the new animated, or not new, the animated intro for Titan Takedown. And one of the things that I love that you and a lot of folks do that work at like Dropout, Dimension 20, etc., is you do some like really incredible behind the scenes stuff, like looking at how you do it. Now, I will tell you, I understand very little of what you say in your videos, but I still really appreciate it. Yeah, how, like, can you talk about how it came to be, like your involvement in Titan Takedown, what the just sort of the beginnings of the project?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been working with Dropout for a minute doing just like small graphics packages here and there. One of my specialties is that I'm really good at a very boring skill, which is basically taking After Effects projects and templatizing them so that editors can use them. And it's like a very fun thing because I get to just sort of turn on music and just go down a rabbit hole of like coding and stuff like that because I like dream in After Effects, unfortunately. Um, but with Titan Takedown, TJ Gonzalez, TJ approached me because I had worked on a short film called Dad Company that was, it stars Steve Ogg. It's this like very goofy short about dads who travel back in time to World War II and realize they're not equipped to handle that. And it has this comic sensibility that is so perfect for Dimension 20 because it's like way over the top, way too serious, and the jokes are all basically about taking something serious to its logical extent. Um, and so yeah, TJ reached out to me and he had just a very general idea of what they were looking for. They knew they wanted it to be this sort of like ancient Greek thing, sort of Vegasy, and they knew that the sort of WWE heavy intensity of it all, meeting the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, just was like would be so easy to bring comedy to.
Yeah, yeah, it's super fun, and then obviously, like we get that. Like, I guess that how much design input then did you have then? Like, as that was going, like it sounds like it was a more like rough sketch when it came to you. What was that like for you?
I would say when it came to me, it was like a paragraph of non-visual description of what they wanted, really. So it was very much like conceptually, this is what we want. This is the mood of it that we want, and this is the overall narrative. This is what we want to communicate. And then they really gave me a ton of freedom to just go in and do stuff that I thought was cool. And it was such a fun process because I would build. I have a presentation that I work off of always for this sort of thing, where I put in a bunch of references that I like, and I write a lot of words. I love to describe what exactly they're going to see and give like a narrative approach to it. And at every step of the way, they were on board with what I was saying, and then they had really smart ways to make it fit the brand better and make it just the most exciting, fun version we could do, while also in a very short time because unfortunately this was all kicking off right when the fires in LA were happening. So we were all running away from that at that time.
Yeah, yeah. God, I don't. I mean, how do you even get? How do you get work done then? Like how? Like
Crazy. I like grabbed my laptop and I went down to San Diego, and I was like, I hadn't used the laptop in a long time because I use a giant computer, desktop computer here, and it was very much a lot of updating the computer and doing a million things at once, and just I will say having you know, the creative reviews and the calls with Schaubach and TJ and Carlos and everyone. I mean, it was incredibly helpful for me because they were super responsive and they were super quick to let me know what they thought was working and what wasn't. And so I think we were just a really efficient team on that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you talk about then like sort of like obviously for folks, well, I don't want to say like for folks who haven't seen it, but for folks who haven't seen it in a minute, because we're like a month, whatever. We're the Titan Takedown's been done for a little bit. Can you remind the folks what that intro looked like going into that season or go before the season?
Sure, yeah. Um, so basically, the concept is that we're walking through the streets of Vegas, but what Vegas would have looked like in ancient Greek times. And on all of these, light up LED screens are the WWE superstars. And so the two big words that I kept repeating and I wrote at the top of like every slide were epic and premium. We wanted everything to feel opulent and expensive and just like hugely epic. So it's basically a walk through this very over the top world.
Yeah, it was super fun. Like just such a perfect intro to what we were walking into in terms of like the story because you wanted that it matched so well. Did you get to see any of the show beforehand, or was it you just running off of like description of this like paragraph of description and meetings?
I think I maybe had a couple of clips, but really I didn't see much of it. You know, I think it was like really clear immediately though. This was, I will say, starting a project is probably the hardest part of doing a project. Um, that was not difficult on this one. It was immediately like we all knew exactly what we wanted. It felt like it just was so obvious. It was so glaringly obvious that I was so angry that I had to evacuate my apartment because I wanted to start immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, can you get into some of the technical details then that I'm gonna like nod and be like, yeah, I get this. Was it built in? I assume it was built in After Effects then. But like, how do you go about building this like walk down this path with live, like not live images, but real images mixed with whatever, like different effects and smoke and lights and all that stuff?
So actually, most of it was built in Cinema 4D and then finished in After Effects. So the whole 3D world, that's all stuff that I either or that I modeled and lit and built in Cinema 4D. And I there's always like a debate about whether or not you should finish stuff or get your near final look in Cinema 4D, or if you should go out to compositing in After Effects or Nuke or whatever to finish that stuff. I like to get as near to the completed image as possible in Cinema 4D. So there's a ton of volumetric stuff going on, which is the fog, all that environment stuff, because I really wanted lighting. Lighting was probably the most important part of this. I would light every single scene and then delete all of the lights and just put in like a single really intense light and then add a few pops here and there because I wanted everything to feel like bold, and rim lighting is so important to me. And I didn't want anything to be like fully lit up at any point. Maybe you have a spotlight crossing, something like that. Um, and then, beyond that lighting stuff, part of the reason to make that lighting simple is because we really wanted to focus on the WWE superstars and, of course, Brendan when we see him, and we have these big LED screens. So you want all of that light to affect the whole scene too. So, one of the reasons I had to do all that, or one of the reasons I had to spend so much time in Cinema 4D before even thinking about compositing was I wanted the light bouncing to feel natural. I wanted it to feel like you could physically be in that space. That's why one of the details that I obsess about is camera height. And I tried to make the camera always at a realistic height, like 6 feet off the ground. And if we ever had like handheld camera stuff, I give it just sort of a very natural motion to it because I want it to feel like you're in that world. I didn't want it to feel like, one of these Marvel movies where a camera is like flying through the sky and you don't actually know how that would be possible. I wanted it to be like you are in this space and you are being awed by everything you're seeing.
Yeah, that's super fun. All right, so for someone who definitely doesn't understand it, when you're lighting something in Cinema 4D, like, are you literally just like clicking a button that's like add a light here, add a light there? Like, how is that technically working?
Yeah, I mean that's more or less it. You basically say, give me an area light or a spotlight or a point light or something like that, which are all sort of like abstractions of what, real lights would be on a set. And then you just sort of drag them around and you it's truly it has helped me to light on set actually because I spend so much time moving around virtual lights that I know the difference between rim lighting and front lighting and all that stuff just naturally now. But it's like a lot of the stuff like spotlights in this, which are, you want to actually see the cone of the light, cutting through the atmosphere. That was so important to this stuff. I wanted everything to feel like actual physical lighting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I assume that means that like when you're adding in like the fog element stuff like that, the system is automatically like a light hits fog. You don't have to go in and play like and say like, okay, this is what a light looks like when it hits fog. I assume that's baked in.
Yeah,
Um,
that's how
yeah,
these modern renderers work, and it's really interesting because basically you set up a physically realistic scene, and then it calculates the lights bouncing around the scene.
that's super cool. Yeah, what this really makes me angry about. I don't know if you watched the Bad Batch, the Star Wars cartoon.
So
Um, but it's like computer, et cetera, right? And there are times when they're on like dark planets and you can't see anything that's happening. And I'm like, just you're using a computer. You don't have to buy extra lights. Just turn on more lights so I can see the damn thing. Um, uh, and now knowing not how easy it is, because obviously I'm not saying that it's easy, but how easy it would be to make me be able to see it, I'm even angrier about it.
I mean, what's funny? It's this sort of lighting is so difficult because you can stare at a scene. I mean, the scene that I did with Brennan, where the camera comes out from inside the darkness and sort of tilts up, I rebuilt that like 10 times because initially I had like hundreds of lights in that scene and they were just shooting in all directions and I was like I want to see a little something here and like it was over art directed is what I would say. And so then when you turn off all the lights and you go, what do I need to see? And I need to see a little pop of like moonlight on this side, but the spotlights are cutting across the screen here. Um, it's so delicate. You mess up one of those things and suddenly everything is bright. You have to look at everything in a scene, and that means you have no idea what to actually focus on. Then again, if you go too far like that and you're like, I only want one light in the scene. I only want moonlight and it's actually coming from behind, then can't see anything.
Right. Yeah. It's oh man. It's yeah. It's really interesting. I also say, I mean, I think Trip Woods did the music for the intro as well. Did you have music prior to like? Did you have music, or was that like the first time you sat down to watch an episode was when you saw it all come together?
Yeah, I think they sent me back a cut
Mhm.
before it actually dropped. But I did whenever I cut like title sequences or anything like this, I throw in temp music.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting because I went a completely different direction from how it ended up. I did this like Gregorian chant into like trailer music sort of thing. So it was like very dark and spooky. And then when I saw Trips, I was like, yes, that is correct for this. That makes so much more sense.
I mean, what was that like then to see like because it matched so beautifully. It feels like it was made at the same time, which is I hope a compliment of like it came together so well. Like was that were you surprised, or is that not like a thing that's surprising? You'd be like, oh yeah, you changed the music completely, still like the beats hit perfectly for it.
It's the like editing itself is very simple in this thing because it's like there's no transitions, there's no like quick cuts or anything like that. But what did surprise me was just how radically different it was from what I expected and where it ended up. That almost never happens. I never see something like that happen. That shocked me, but also the quality of the music that is not it's not a licensed track or something like that, and it's that quality. It's composed specifically for this. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's oh man, can I tell you? Can I tell you a real dumb thing? Like Trip and I are like friends. I've chatted with him very very briefly. Anyway, at some point he was like, "Do you want a theme song?" And I was like, "Yes, Trip. Yes, I want a theme song. What are you talking about? Of course I do." And he was like, "What's your vibe?" And I was like, "It's dad rock. I am 42 years old. I got one kid. I got another on the way. Like it's dad rock." And yeah, it was. I have this. This is not me complaining, internet. He has not made anything yet, which is super fair because I didn't like offer him money for it. But yeah, he's. It's so funny to watch, like to see something like what he had made. Again, also with very little information or very little like actual knowledge of what the season was like. Just like some vibes that he was sent of like, hey, here's what we're thinking, and then like there's like this kind of intro for this other person, and like this other team, and he's like, all right, I can make something for that. And like it's funny to see all of it come together so like seamlessly. I mean, it has to be. I have to imagine a lot of that is coming from folks like Shawak, Carlos, TJ, who are just like have that creative vision in their heads. When you're meeting with them to get like vibes for intro, I'm assuming like like you said, like everything moved really smoothly. It's just like everyone is like, let's go, we got this. Move, and obviously we have to move as fast as possible because it comes out so soon.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the time on these short timelines, people don't always understand what is important to focus on and what you should sort of just go. That's not how I saw it, but we can go that way. Um, this team was just like they were ready for that, and um, I like to call it like strong opinions loosely held, where everybody had good input, strong opinions. But when we needed to pivot, everybody was totally ready to pivot and to see the value in where we ended up. And one of the most important things process wise for something like this for me is that I like to bring people in on my process frequently and early because I love building consensus on stuff like this. I love to say, this is how I see it. Does that make sense to you? So every step of the way, I would provide them a different version. Like we started with these still images that are just sort of like 3D layouts that I built with no lighting, and they're just every time there's a screen in it, there's just giant text on an object that says screen, and it has like a checkerboard pattern. And usually, I have to get on a call with people to say, "Don't worry, there's the word screen there." But I mean, everybody was so ready for that here. Everybody was like, I totally see what you're going for. We're doing the walk through under the arch. What is the street called? I always forget the name of the street in Vegas.
The strip.
There's the like.
Oh yeah. I
Whatever
I've
that.
been like twice, and it's been 15 years since I've been there. So
I still haven't been, and now I'm like, well, I got to go because
yeah,
I fully emulated some of those streets. But everybody immediately understood what I was going for, and I could just very easily move on to basically I did these still images, and then I moved on to animation without like texturing or anything like that, just so that they get an idea of the camera movements. and then I did low res versions of the texturing and the lighting, and then onto the final. It's very smooth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. Like, is there a storyboarding point at that, or is that like that first step more like the like still images, your storyboards?
Yeah, those were the storyboards, and I think I even cut a version of it to time with those storyboards. And then I like to give, oh, yeah, one step I didn't mention in there is I like to give high res stills, like full quality stills before I render out full animations, just so everybody likes the quality of the image and the lighting, and it's a good point at which to say it looks cool, but I don't understand what I'm looking at yet. That happens a lot in 3D. So that, yeah, we every step of the way we had that sort of contact.
Yeah. Did people pop with "It looks cool, I don't understand it," or was this team better at understanding things?
We didn't have much of that with this one. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody was like very clear on the goal of it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine for them, a lot of it is very helpful that, like, with the like literal projections on the dome, they are probably used to seeing like not half baked because that doesn't seem like the right, but like incomplete work of like, all right, this is where we're going.
Yeah.
Like things like I could tell you, I talked to Derek Christensen, who does projections on the dome, and they did the tabby face for Misfits and Magic, which was like a little animated rock that had a face on it. And their original design was like a 3D model of their face put onto this rather than this like real cutesy little like emoji looking thing. And apparently it's just an absolute nightmare. And I'm still upset Derek has never released the nightmare cut of Tabby. But like, yeah, like having knowing that they have these huge processes that they have to go through and seeing
Yeah.
things that like change that differently, it's not surprising that like they're like, oh, okay, I see where you're going, let's move in this way and like let's adjust here.
And there's a thing that a lot of us do where whenever we have the opportunity where we're waiting for footage or waiting for like verbiage or something like that, we will put in the thing that we believe in. And so for me, I always write something about the Eagles or soft pretzels whenever I have to do that stuff.
So this is like, so it would be like screen soft pretzels, like what is
Exactly.
like, oh man, that's so good. Oh god, I love that. Right. Is there like as this process goes on, is there a favorite part of it, or do you have a favorite part of this process in terms of like opening to closing? Is it the adding of like "Go Eagles" to various screens?
Um, once I get to the point where I'm moving lights around, that's when I'm like hitting a flow state. That's when I'll look at the clock and it's 4 in the morning and I won't notice. And that's like deeply pleasurable to me to just lose myself in it. Kind of feels like painting to me. Once I already know the direction and once I already have people on board with the vision, I mean, I'm just free to do my thing. It's an incredible feeling.
Is that a like music on moving lights? Like what are you listening to? What's your playlist for like in the flow state?
Well, there's no playlist. There's just live fish. I just leave fish playing for hours and hours and hours, and luckily there are hours and hours and hours of it out there for me to listen to.
Yeah, I'm assuming you mean band and not animal.
That's
Yes. For folks, see, the thing is, I got young folks in the audience. Fish is a jam band, very famous for having like hour-long songs.
Yep.
Um, yeah, that's very fun. Yeah, I when I was writing, when I was in a PhD program, and whenever I would write or like study or whatever, I can't have lyrics like that. That messes me up. I imagine it's different when you're moving lights because you aren't like also focusing on words.
Yep.
And so like I had to like build like a whole playlist of like songs that didn't like instrumental stuff. And oh man, I came across some it's called Two Cellos. Ooh baby, they play like Nintendo theme songs, but on like the cello. It rules.
Yeah, I
And
love that stuff.
Yeah, it's very funny. And then and then at the end of the year, my Spotify playlist will be like, "You like dad rock and video games?" And I'm like, "Well, you're not wrong." Like, I'm assuming Fish then just like top of your Spotify end of the year wrapped like
I
every
mean,
year.
I subscribe to their streaming service,
Oh,
so
okay. So
it's
that's how serious it is.
absolutely. And I
Yeah.
am, you know, I go to fish shows alone because no one I know likes them, which is totally reasonable. Uh, Reka came with me to a show last year, and she was like, "Okay, cool, that was an experience. Never want to do that again."
Oh man, that makes me think that like the whole time Jess Ross on this year's Smarty Pants was giving her presentation about like why concerts are terrible. Reika
Yeah,
was just flashing back to Fish the like whole presentation.
and I was
That's
I was actually at the taping of that episode. So yes, absolutely, that was happening.
that's so funny. Okay, one of the other things that I love that you do, like I mentioned, you do these incredible behind the scenes breakdowns where you're literally just like, here is like these early renderings of like, all right, and then I added fog, and then here I am moving lights. It's it's like I said, it's a thing that I feel like a lot of people at Dropout do in terms of like, I want to show you some of the process behind it. I assume it's. Is it encouraged? Is it just like do whatever you want? Like how are folks at like Dimension 20 when you're like, hey, I want to show like in-depth process of how this came about?
Dropout is so open in a way that I'm so appreciative of because I've worked with so many clients, especially like film and commercial stuff, where they're like, you can never show that After Effects project ever. Like we own that. It's on your computer, but we own that. Dropout, I think, just loves engaging with its audience so much. And, I think it's pretty clear that there's no downside to letting people in on the process stuff. So uh, it's not like I'm showing any secrets. We see the final product, so who cares about how I move the lights around? Yes, I don't know. It's really nice to talk to other people at Dropout about that stuff too. Like Trip when he does his behind the scenes or his
Yeah.
breakdowns on how he does music. I mean, it's incredible. I love watching that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like you said, like they love to engage the community with that. Obviously, the community loves to engage with it as well. It's why I exist as whatever this is. How's fan reaction been to getting to see like behind the scenes stuff for Titan Takedown, Cloudward Ho, etc.?
Oh, it's so nice. It's great. I mean, and you were talking earlier about how it's cool to see the breakdowns even if you have no idea what's happening in them. And it took me many years to realize that people actually are interested in that because it's not it's kind of like watching somebody who builds stuff like a craftsman or something like that. You're not like, I'm watching this in order to learn how to do the thing. You kind of just like to see the possibilities, see what is out there that can be done by someone because that's good sort of intellectually in general. But you also just want to see, it's a very personal story, how someone creates their art, how someone sits down at their computer or instrument or whatever and just sits there and does the thing that they are good at. And who has the people who've been the nicest about this stuff are the ones on Reddit. I just kind of like randomly threw some of these breakdowns on Reddit, and everybody's asking great questions, and they're just so curious and friendly about it. Really feels good.
Yeah, which is such a rare experience on Reddit.
Yeah, that's cool.
It is like I post like every interview on Reddit. It's usually very good. Very rarely do things go poorly
Yeah,
in those specific communities. I should say I
yeah,
don't venture much away from them. Yeah, it's really funny like 'cause you mentioned like even people that don't like understand it. I will tell you 100% guaranteed someone is watching this right now and very mad at me for not asking like technical specific questions because like I talk to people like TJ Dumpster who does the audio engineering for like Dimension 20, and it's always so funny to me because like I'll post the clips and like TJ will see it and like be in the comments and people will be asking like such specific technical questions
yeah.
about things and I'm like I didn't know. I don't know how to ask that question. I can be like, oh, what program do you use? How is it like? But I can't be like, hey, when you're using the, I can't even make up a question that like sounds like I understand how audio engineering works. But yeah, it's so funny because like there is this very weird balance of people who are like, I just love the process and I love the art, and then there are people who are like, tell me everything, every step, so that I can, like, someone who's literally like watching, like, this is what I want to do. I want to go into like animations, and like, how do I do that? I mean, how did you get started? I believe you went to NYU. I'm assuming that is where like things started to break down. Look, I can do all. You went to Michigan State. You went to NYU. Somewhere in Philadelphia, I think. I've looked at your LinkedIn page.
Oh, that's funny.
Was
Yeah,
it Michigan State or was it Michigan? It was Michigan. I'm so sorry. I know that's deeply troubling. Go blue. How about that? Did I bring it back? I saved it a little bit.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, my background is audio engineering and music initially. I studied music technology at NYU before I transferred to.
That's right. I remember when I saw it. This is so stupid. I thought it said music theocracy instead of technology because I was just like scrolling down and I was like, this is all I want to talk about now. And then I saw it said technology and I was like, that makes a lot more sense.
Hey, whatever's happening right now is not working. We could try music theocracy.
Yeah.
Why not give it a shot? Yeah, I studied music tech there because I was so into recording in high school. And then I transferred to New College of Florida, which is this weird little hippie school, and studied like classical composition. So from there, I was just, oh, wait, then I went to grad school. Right. Then I went to grad school for media arts at Michigan. And that led me to working in a recording studio in Philadelphia. So I did a lot of like, I recorded and mixed a lot of pretty bad radio ads, which I still have a few of them on my hard drive, and I love them, and I listen to them frequently. But from there, I just got I moved to New York, and I started getting more into animation and visual stuff. And basically, what happened was I knew I liked animation, and I knew I liked filmmaking. And so I kept working on TV shows. I worked on Garbage Time doing the motion graphics and stuff like that. And I was always the guy who could do anything or like learn anything. I couldn't do anything particularly well, but I could definitely figure out how to do like most of the stuff that we needed to. So I was like animating, editing, shooting, mixing, doing the music for stuff. I was always the guy you would reach out to if you needed, like a utility player. And it wasn't until I moved out here to LA that I started really, focusing more heavily in 3D and doing a lot of ad work. And I just got faster and faster. And I became a person who you could go to if you wanted polish on a really short timeline. And from there, it was just, title sequences and music videos and shooting my own stuff. Like I said, that short film Dad Company, which is fully live action, was part of the reason that the Dropout team came to me for the Titan Takedown intro. That sort of like cross-pollination between worlds, I think is so exciting and so fun.
Yeah. I will also say something I noticed seems to be a theme in your filmmaking: slow motion shots of food hitting people in the face. Do you think that's a fair assessment of the films that you make?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I don't know what that is, man, but I just love the look of a cake falling apart in slow motion and then just nailing someone in the face.
Yeah. Hey, if it works, it works. We've talked a bunch about Titan Takedown, but you also did the teaser trailer for Cloudward Ho, which I imagine very different, probably not very different, like process, but very different visually. Of like, all right, you've done walking through like an ancient city. Now do every gear that's ever existed. What was the call for that like?
The call for that was, "Hey, don't go crazy. Take it easy. This needs to be done in 1 week. Please don't go nuts." And my response was very specifically, "I promise I won't go crazy." And then I went crazy. Um, and I just was so into the idea of this like giant clockwork thing that we were going through because funny enough, when I was pitching my ideas on the Titan Takedown intro, I had a slide that was all about clockwork mechanisms and stuff like that that I wanted to basically use as uh, sort of like an explanation for how we can have all this technology in ancient Greece. And they were like, "That's cool. Not for this one. We have something else coming up that is going to use that."
Yeah, that
So
would have been that'd have been very funny. When like, there is every season clockwork stuff now.
yeah, so I mean, I had so much fun with that tunnel. I just kept adding little bits here and there, and it's one of these things where when you push the envelope a bit, you actually get more feedback because people start to see more possibilities are available to them. So um, I think we pushed it pretty far, and we made something really fun that I think about a lot, actually.
Yeah, when you're building those in 3D, is it a matter of like, is it literally like a puzzle of like, all right, these gears are actually touching and like moving, or is it like more animated, like just like, yeah, they spin, but they don't know the other one exists.
Yeah, it's fakery. I mean,
Okay.
I have a breakdown. I did a breakdown of the like compositing of that tunnel, but I'm working on the breakdown for the actual 3D stuff in there, and you see that it's just gears floating in space. So,
Hey, that's fair. Yeah, so you have a week to turn that around. Is it a similar, just like, hey, we're gonna go through a tunnel. It needs to be clocks or clockwork. Is that basically it? And then like go nuts? Well, obviously in that instance it was please don't go nuts. But
yeah, it basically it was a pretty general description of what they needed. There was they had the title sequence for the season done already, and so I was trying to get in that same universe, and I wanted to match that, and I wanted to match the title card at the end because they basically had a full cut of the trailer that we were just going to drop this part into. Um, so it was like make it feel like it fits in this world. I think that was the biggest note they gave me, and then it was just getting stuff to them early enough that I could add all my little bits and bobs that probably most people don't notice, but I like to do anyway.
give us some of the bits and bobs that people didn't notice. What's in there that you love?
So the texture on pretty much everything, I use something called a tune shader, which is it doesn't use realistic light fall off. It uses quantized light fall off, which means that yeah, you know what that means. I don't.
Yeah. Um,
Basically, like when you're drawing a cartoon, you don't, or one style of animation and illustration is that you don't use a gradient to go from light to dark. You use like lighter, slightly darker to dark. It's like strips of light instead of a smooth gradient like real lighting would do. So I wanted to emulate what the actual title sequence looked like. So I used that tune shader in there. And the 3D tune shaders are so deep and complicated. And I went so far into adding, little bits of rim lighting and glossiness and stuff that you might barely notice in there. But it was very fun to go deep into that.
yeah. Oh man, that's super fun. I mean, I'll say like at least I don't know about at least, but like the nice thing about the teaser trailer, like, is that it's mostly tunnel and audio for like a big chunk of it. So like people are like while we're listening, of course, to, like the players saying people are presumably like watching your work pretty closely because that's the only thing on screen. It's yeah. I'm assuming people also very excited to see the breakdown for Cloudward Ho.
Yeah, people went nuts for that one, actually. That one, I think people really liked because I did a bunch of stuff that is It's stuff that I probably learned later in my career about using something called a crypto mat, where um, it has nothing to do with cryptocurrency. Don't worry, nobody yell at me. Um, but basically, it breaks down a 3D scene into objects on the 2D level, so you can select 3D objects in compositing, like in After Effects. So I could say this little steam jet, which is an actual video that I'm throwing in here, goes behind this 3D object even after I've already rendered it out. And cryptomats are extremely cool looking, and they seem like total magic in there. So I loved showing that off. That was really fun.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, like I said, I love that. Like we're getting these process videos from you. I'm excited to see the next whatever next process video you have for us. Um, yeah, it's um, one of the other, like, I think I have to imagine also because it is steampunk. Like there's a reason why in the teaser trailer, like after like the tunnel, it's Brennan just goes, "We're doing steampunk." Like it's just because like like it's something that people have been screaming for years.
Yes.
When you found like I don't know your relationship to steampunk. Were you thinking like, oh yeah, people are gonna lose their mind about this? Okay.
And I love steampunk. Like The Fifth Element, which has a lot of steampunk stuff going on in it, is my favorite movie of all time. And I will always love that world, and I always want to shoehorn things into it. So it's perfect.
Yeah, that's super fun. Yeah, it turned out so well. It's great. It's great. The tunnel is great. I remember watching that. It was very funny. Because like they announced the teaser trailer like 20 minutes prior to the trailer going live, which is wild. And I think, and this is the hill I'm dying on. I'm the reason why it happened because I had an interview scheduled with Sky Smith, who is the lore keeper for Dimension 20, and they emailed like the powers that be, and they're like, "Hey, when are we announcing Cloudward Ho?" And the next day, the teaser trailer came out. Like, come on, like. It's because of me. I'm taking credit. Yeah,
Yeah, that like snuck out, and I was like, oh no, I gotta go. I gotta get this breakdown done. I had no idea when it was coming out. I kind of like forgot because I was in the middle of another project.
yeah. It was so because like it was literally like Instagram, like the Dimension 20 Instagram, like sent the message that like, hey, like 20 minutes, something's happening, and everyone's like, wait, what's happening? And then it was the teaser. No, I thought it was going to be like the announcement of like when Madison Square Garden live show was going to be airing on Dropout. Like I thought it was going to be something like that, not a hey, by the way, here's the next season. But yeah, it obviously like turned out super super well. People super excited. When you're thinking about like that kind of like steampunk like clockwork world, like is there an element of it that like you love the most that you wanted to make sure you incorporated into the tunnel? Like did you get to do like the things that you love? Is it, I mean, obviously like you didn't get to do goggles on anybody because you're not designing people, but is there anything that, like you're like, that's, to me that's what steampunk is all about?
Yeah, I mean, there's pipes everywhere. It's so funny. It's just like you put in pipes in a space or in a flying ship type setting, and you're like, we got steampunk. I mean, that immediately felt to me, the intro has like wires hanging all over the place, and I love that. I think if you have thick cables hanging from stuff, that immediately makes me happy in a project. I
Yeah.
did like an animated short years ago called Shrines, and it's like post-apocalyptic and everything's crumbling. And I spent so much time on these hanging wires, like tens of hours for some reason on them because I wanted them to look so perfect, and I was so obsessed with that.
It's so funny. Did they look perfect? um,
I nailed them.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear it. Oh man, Justin, this has been such an absolute delight. All right, let's say folks out there, they have to, but let's say they wanted to, they wanted to find more about great pretzels in cinema history. Where could they find that on the internets or these breakdowns. They might be more interested in the breakdowns, but they should be more interested in great pretzels.
You should also look at the pretzels, we'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are going to be going up weekly on my Instagram, which is Justin H. Crowell. And also my TikTok, which should also be Justin H. Crowell, I think. And yeah, all of my stuff, I'm focused on those two places. So everything is going to go up on both of those.
I'm looking at the last time we sent a message. Yes, that is what your TikTok is. You're
Great.
good. You got it. Justin, thank you so much. This has been an absolute delight. I don't know how to end an interview, so I'm just going to hit stop recording.
Great talking to you, Jordan. Thanks so much.